All right, folks, welcome back to our Tips for Tuesday. This is take two, all right, of our overhead squat, or part two also of our overhead squat series. Last week, we did upper body, mobs, and how to prepare the body and positioning for overhead squat. This week, we're going to tackle and cover the lower body. Okay, so what does your lower extremities look like in the overhead squat position? All right, so we got Andrew back here for our squat position. He's got an excellent squat. He's going to demonstrate what the overhead squat should look like, and then we're going to go over some common faults and problems that we see with it. All right, so we're going to get him in that overhead squat position with the PVC pipe. If you recall from last week, right, we got shoulders open, which means the armpits are facing forward, elbows are locked out and pointed down towards the floor. Okay, and he's got a good grip on the bar, and he's making sure that he's locked into it in a good position. Okay, so going down an overhead squat, all right, we're looking for a couple of things. A, does the bar stay maintained over his shoulders? Okay, is the crease of his hips going below his knees? Are the knees in line with his feet and staying slightly behind his toes? All right, those are some points that we want to look for on the overhead squat. All right, so come on up. All right, some faults that we see with the overhead squat is three things, really, and they're all kind of interrelated. So if we can kind of have you come over, guys, to the big board. These are the three things that we're looking to tackle today. When you go into the overhead squat position, we may see one of these three things, if not all of them, and they're kind of interrelated, meaning that if you have one fault, chances are you may have two or three or all these faults along with that. So the first one that we're going to cover is torso falls forward. All right, so if we go back to Andrew, what does that look like? Okay, so as he goes, so he sets up nice, right? Looks like he's going to do a badass overhead squat, but then he starts to go down and oh no, okay? And what's the oh no part? This, okay, chest falling forward, and what happens inevitably with that is the bar will travel backwards. Okay, so now it's no longer stacked over the shoulders, it's over his mid-back. It's a bad position for the shoulders to be in, all right, and also a dangerous position for the bar to be in as well, too. If something should happen and he had to bail out, that bar could hit him in the back, okay? All right, so that is falling forward. So what causes that, or what can cause that, are tight hip flexors and tight quads. Okay, so if you have a tight anterior structure, as you go down, it will pull you forward. All right, also what we covered last week is tight upper body, so tight pec major, pec minor, tight lats. So all these structures here are pulling you forward, okay? So tight anterior structures plus gravity plus weight overhead, those three things are going to be disastrous for you if you have that going on. Fault number two, okay, is knees turn in. All right, so Andrew's going to show us what that looks like. As he goes down to the squat position, we'll see the knees buckle in. All right, now go ahead and stand up. What can cause that? All right, tight adductors, groin muscles, tight medial gastroc, or combination of both. So if you have tight medial structures here as you squat down, they will pull you in. All right. Also, what you can have with that, in conjunction with tight medial structures, is weak lateral structures. So if you have weak lateral structures, they don't have the ability to combat the tightness here to pull you out. All right. So what we coach people on is, here's what you need to do: mobility for the medial chain, and we need to do strengthening for the lateral piece here, so that you have that ability to pull you out. Okay. All right. So that is knees turning in. Okay. The fault number three, all right, is going to be feet pronate or turn in, all right, and potentially the heels will lift off of the ground. So if you can see what's going on here, as Andrew comes in, his feet will turn in this way, and his heels are going to come off the ground. And you can see what happens now is, as that travels up the chain, the knees go in. Go ahead and stand up for a second. Take a breather. Okay, so what we'll see is, folks, things start from the ground up. All right, so if you are falling forward, if your knees go in, all right, as a clinician, I will always look to see what's going on down below first. What's happening from the ground up first, all right? And I want to make sure that on my checklist, we knock off, okay, is he pronating in, and is his heels coming off the ground? If not, fine. We can go back up to the knees. Let's see what's going on with the knees, then the hips, and so on. All right, but I want to go joints above and below, see what's happening in that regards. Okay, so if let's show one more. Okay, if he pronates in, right, inevitably his knees are going to cave in as well too. It's hard to pull his knees out, all right? And you see what happens when he pulls his knees out? his feet go back into a neutral or flat position. All right? Okay. All right. And that's why you hear the common coaching theme of a lot of coaches go, knees out, knees out, knees out. Well, some people just physically can't pull their knees out. And that's because they have tight medial structures and or weak lateral structures. Okay, so you can coach knees out to your blue in the face, but what it comes down to is you have to identify why that particular person cannot get their knees out, and that's probably why. All right, okay, and that's one of those things like overhead squats and Olympic lifts. Something that assists them is we'll recommend that they wear lifters. All right, if they wear lifters, okay, it takes their calves out of the picture, lifts them up a little bit, and sometimes we'll be able to see them go down in a perfect squat position. And then we know it's just a mobility piece for the calves and the heel cords that they need to work on over time. Okay, and that's why the overhead squat is a great tool as a clinician to see a lot of different things going on. From head to toe, you have someone do an overhead squat, we can see a lot of different things happening. All right. Okay, so what are corrections for this? Right? If I'm falling forward, I know I have tight anterior structures potentially, so hip flexors and quads. There's a lot of things you could do, but just for, we've covered them in videos past, but just real quick, just to run through it. I'm going to start in the hip flexors. I'm going to take a barbell here, right? And I'm going to pull it right up into my hip crease, and I'm going to mash those tissues out. Okay, if I'm not feeling that, I'm going to slide this up and get that round piece here on the barbell, okay? And I'm going to mash that out up here. And I'm going to do some right to lefts with my leg too here. From there, I'm just going to roll the bar down. And I'm hunting and exploring for some tight spots or some trigger points here. And you'll know when somebody hits it because they'll do this, and then all of a sudden, oh, and they hit that pain cave face, right? Okay, that's where they need to sit and mash those positions out. And they're going to work that all the way down to the knee. Okay, for the groin, right, I'm going to get into the actually rotated piece here in the hip, and I'm going to take the barbell, same thing. I'm going to mash it out here, okay, and I'm going to work all the way down to the knee, okay. Now, for the calf and the heel cord, I got another barbell propped up on steel 5-pound plates. I'm just going to rest my heel cord right on the barbell, leg on top for a little overhead pressure, and I'm going to do some right to lefts here, making sure that my foot is relaxed and I'm not into a dorsiflex position here. Okay, it's relaxed, over pressure, right to lefts. And then I'm just going to slide and move that barbell up the calf and continue to work on that until I feel confident that I've worked my calves out. And you may find that one calf is good to go and one calf is like super spicy. That's a problem, okay? You need to work on that one that's spicy, so get on it. Okay, for the medial structures of the calf, right, I'm going to get in here, and again, there's another muscle in here, posterior tibialis, that will run medial calf behind your ankle bone, underneath your foot, down to your big toe, and the purpose of that muscle is this. Okay, the posterior tibialis will plantar flex your foot and invert, okay? So if you have a tight posterior tibialis and medial calf, you'll see pronation of the foot. You'll see people pronate when they squat. All right, so you want to get in there and mash that tissue out as well too. So we take a lacrosse ball, get into those medial structures, and we're just pressing down into that medial calf and working ourselves down all the way to the ankle bone, getting that posterior tibialis. Okay, so those are some mobilization pieces. One thing, stretching-wise also I want to hit before I do overhead squats is people will have a tight posterior corner chain here. And we'll get into that pigeon stretch that we covered in a video a while back ago. Okay, I'm going to spend about 2 minutes here. I'm going to make sure that my chest is over my shin bone. Okay, and then I'm going to work my way down and maybe even across, do some right to lefts. And I'm going to hunt for that tight corner of my posterior chain. Okay, so piriformis stretch really is the muscle that we're looking for in the butt. Okay, so those mobilization pieces are going to help you get into the proper overhead squat position that we're looking for. All right, Andrew's going to come back in, and we're going to finish off the video by showing you a quick couple of corrective exercises that we do here at the gym. All right, so our piece of equipment here is the core band. This is from Gray Cook over at functionalmovementscreen.com. This is a 3-piece movement that will take people through for overhead squat correction. He's going to take his arms and slip them into the straps here. It's anchored down low into the rig. He's going to step back, get a good amount of tension here on the band. He's going to bring his arms up into a 90-90 position, which means his elbows here and his shoulders here form a 90-degree angle, and he's pulling his arms back actively and going down into the squat position. Okay, come back up and do one more. All right, as he goes down, there's a tremendous amount of posterior chain, thoracic spine activation here, posterior shoulders activation here to maintain tension on those straps. Okay, and the straps, when you're down in the squat position, assist you to get down in a nice deep squat. Okay, now to take that a step further, we're going to move the straps down to the elbows. Okay, this is going to intensify the movement, if you will. Okay, same movement, going down in an overhead squat, but now the band is anchored a little more distally, which is going to make his thoracic spine and posterior shoulders fire a little bit more. Okay, all right, and then the final one, and the hardest one that Andrew has found out today, is taking that and putting the straps in the hands and going into our overhead squat position that we eventually want to get you in. Locked elbows, shoulders open, okay, and we're going down into that overhead squat. Okay, and you can see his arms are shaking. He's having to fight tremendously to keep those bands back because the bands want to pull him forward. He needs to fight them back. All right, that's a great strengthening exercise for the posterior chain. Okay, all right, that's with the core band. And then our last piece is going to be a mobility piece. So he's going to use two bands, super bands. One is rigged up on the cage. And he's going to pull it up so that's just below his shoulder blades, so thoracic spine area. All right, that's going to support his upper body. And then this other band here is going to go around his hips, just above his butt. And he's going to anchor it around his knees. And this is going to provide a nice stretch in the adductors of the groin. Okay, so once he gets down that position, good. Let's go down and get squat, and I'll give you the bar. So we're going to get into our squat position, and then I'm going to hand him the PVC stick so he gets in his overhead squat position. He's going to press the bar up, okay? And we're going to make sure he's locked in. Shoulders are pointed out, elbows are pointed down and locked out. Got a real nice squat position here, crease the hips below the knees. All right, and these bands are actively pulling his knees out to get a nice adductor stretch. While he's down there, we can even add some SOTS presses to it. So bringing the bar down to the back of the shoulders and pressing it all the way up, right, just to work on some mobility pieces here for the shoulders. Okay, good. All right, so that covers our overhead squat progressions. Any day you're doing overhead squats, I would recommend that you take 2 to 3 pieces from this video and from the upper extremity video as well too, and do those before you hit it. All right, and identify where your faults could be, and use what we gave you to make your overhead squat look a little bit better. All right, that's all we got for you folks today. We'll catch you next time.